In an era where economic landscapes are continuously shifting, the age-old adage of hard work will lead to wealth is being challenged. A recent article from The Economist sheds light on a startling trend. The path to prosperity in 2025 may be less about personal ambition and more about the fortunes inherited from previous generations. This perspective, reminiscent of Jane Austen's observations in Pride and Prejudice, highlights a societal shift where financial success is increasingly linked to inheritance rather than individual effort. The article argues that contemporary wealth accumulation is profoundly influenced by the transfer of assets from one generation to the next. As society evolves, the traditional belief that diligent work guarantees financial stability is being replaced by a new reality where familial connections and inherited wealth play a pivotal role. Today, an inheritance is what matters emphasizes the piece, signaling a departure from the meritocratic ideals that have long defined the American dream. This shift is exacerbated by economic disparities that have widened in recent years. The growing gap between the wealthy and the rest of the population raises pertinent questions about social mobility and the sustainability of the current economic model. As The Economist notes, the surest way to get rich was not by working hard but by marrying the right person, reflecting a historical context where financial prospects were often dictated by social alliances rather than personal skills or labor. The implications of this trend are manifold. Economists and financial analysts are increasingly concerned that a society built on inherited wealth may lead to stagnation where innovation and entrepreneurship are sidelined by a focus on preserving family fortunes. Furthermore, as younger generations grapple with mounting student debt and a challenging job market, the allure of inheritance becomes more pronounced. This raises critical discussions about the future of wealth distribution and the potential for policy reforms aimed at addressing these disparities. As we look ahead, the ramifications of this wealth transfer phenomenon are likely to shape not only individual financial strategies but also broader economic policies. The potential for a growing class divide looms large, prompting calls for initiatives that promote equitable access to opportunities for all regardless of familial background. In this context, the question remains, how will society adapt to these changes and what steps can be taken to ensure that hard work and innovation remain viable pathways to financial success? In summary, while the article from The Economist paints a concerning picture of wealth accumulation in 2025, it also serves as a catalyst for critical discourse on economic reform and the future of prosperity. As the debate continues, it is clear that the conversation around inheritance equity and meritocracy will play a significant role in shaping the economic landscape for generations to come. In an era marked by political polarization, a compelling bipartisan initiative is gaining traction across the United States: the call for congressional term limits. As we observe National Term Limits Day on February 27, it becomes increasingly evident that a significant majority of Americans, regardless of their political affiliations, are in favor of establishing limits on how long members of Congress can serve. A recent Pew Research poll reveals that an impressive 87% of Americans support this initiative, underscoring the growing discontent with the status quo in Washington. Historically, the issue of term limits for the presidency came into focus after Franklin D. Roosevelt's unprecedented 4 terms in office. This led to the ratification of the 22nd Amendment in 1951, which limited presidents to 2 terms. The push for similar limits in Congress has seen renewed vigor, with over 151 members of Congress currently pledging their support for such measures. In the House of Representatives, House Joint Resolution 12, sponsored by Representative Ralph Norman, has garnered more than 50 co-sponsors. This resolution proposes limiting representatives to 3 terms or 6 years and senators to 2 terms or 12 years. Similarly, in the Senate, Senator Ted Cruz has introduced a companion resolution indicating a potential shift in the legislative landscape. Despite this momentum, skepticism persists regarding Congress's willingness to enact these changes. Many observers believe that without a significant push from the states, the prospects for passing term limits through Congress remain bleak. However, historical precedent suggests that the states do have a powerful avenue for change. just as they mobilized to push for the 22nd Amendment. States can call for a convention to propose a congressional term limits amendment, effectively bypassing a reluctant Congress. Indeed, many states are already taking steps in this direction. Recent polling in Indiana indicates that 84% of voters support congressional term limits, a sentiment echoed in the passage of Senate Joint Resolution 21 by the Indiana State Senate, which calls for a congressional term limits amendment. The resolution now awaits action from the Indiana House of Representatives, which could position the state among those advocating for reform. As we celebrate National Term Limits Day, events are planned nationwide to draw attention to this critical issue. Advocates argue that if term limits are deemed essential for the presidency, they should also apply to Congress. The current political climate, characterized by entrenched incumbency, calls for decisive action to ensure that fresh perspectives and ideas can flourish within the halls of power. In conclusion, the movement for congressional term limits is gathering steam, fueled by overwhelming public support and a series of state-level initiatives. As citizens increasingly demand accountability and responsiveness from their elected representatives, the potential for transformative change looms on the horizon. The question remains, will Congress heed the call, or will the states once again lead the charge for constitutional reform? The coming months may very well dictate the future of congressional governance in America. In recent years, the increasing prevalence of GLP-1 receptor agonists, particularly drugs like Wegovy, has sparked significant interest in their potential applications for treating obesity in children and adolescents. As the number of teenagers and young adults using such medications surged by an astounding 594% between 2020 and 2023, the focus has shifted to understanding the long-term effects of these treatments on younger populations. Wegovy, which is approved for use in children aged 12 and older with obesity, has gained attention for its effectiveness in curbing appetite and facilitating substantial weight loss. 15-year-old Jenny Arellin, who participated in a clinical study of Wegovy, reported transformative changes in her eating habits and overall lifestyle. "I stopped liking pizza and chips, and now I don't like candy at all," Arellin shared, highlighting how the drug not only altered her food preferences but also significantly reduced her overall caloric intake. After 10 months on Wegovy, she lost 40 pounds and is now focused on maintaining her weight, underscoring the drug's impact on her confidence and energy levels. Despite promising short-term results, experts emphasize that the long-term implications of GLP-1 receptor agonists on a developing body remain largely unknown. "There's more we don't know than we do know about using these drugs in children," stated Robert Lustig, a pediatric neuroendocrinologist at the University of California, San Francisco. This uncertainty raises critical questions about the necessity of lifelong medication to sustain weight loss and the potential effects on growth, brain development, and hormonal changes during adolescence. The American Academy of Pediatrics has recently updated its clinical practice guidelines, acknowledging the role of GLP-1 receptor agonists in treating childhood obesity alongside lifestyle interventions and bariatric surgery. As Melanie Cree, a pediatric endocrinologist, noted, addressing obesity early in a child's life can significantly reduce the risk of developing type 2 diabetes, which tends to be more aggressive in teenagers than in adults. Clinical studies have demonstrated that adolescents with obesity and related conditions can achieve impressive weight loss results with these medications. For example, one study published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that adolescents using Wegovy lost an average of 16% of their body weight after 68 weeks, while a more recent phase 3 trial showed liraglutide, another GLP-1 receptor agonist, resulted in a 6% reduction in body mass index in younger children aged 6 to 11. However, the unique physiological challenges faced by adolescents pose a complex layer to the treatment approach. As Cree pointed out, these drugs do not work for every child. Approximately 1 in 4 may not experience the desired effects. Additionally, the hormonal changes during puberty can complicate the effectiveness of GLP-1 agonists, leading to increased insulin resistance and heightened feelings of hunger. Concerns also extend to the potential impact of long-term GLP-1 agonist use on the developing brain. Studies indicate that these medications affect dopamine pathways, which could influence how adolescents respond to food and pleasure. Dan Cooper, a pediatrics professor at UC Irvine, noted that there are still many unknowns regarding how these drugs might alter brain development and potentially increase the risk of depression. Moreover, the question of whether children will need to remain on these medications for life is a pressing concern. Experts suggest that a long-term commitment to medication may be necessary to prevent weight regain, akin to how individuals manage chronic conditions like hypertension. As research continues into the long-term safety and efficacy of GLP-1 agonists in children, the medical community recognizes the delicate balance of addressing obesity while safeguarding the future health and well-being of young patients. We need big long-term studies to get answers to these questions, Cree emphasized, highlighting the need for careful consideration in the treatment of childhood obesity. In conclusion, while GLP-1 receptor agonists like Wegovy represent a promising avenue for addressing childhood obesity, the complexities of adolescent growth and development necessitate a cautious approach. As the medical community seeks to unravel the long-term implications of these medications, the focus will remain on ensuring that interventions not only promote physical health but also support the overall developmental trajectory of children and adolescents. In a significant shift within corporate America, Paramount Global, the media conglomerate behind major brands like CBS and Paramount Pictures, has announced a rollback of its diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) hiring targets. This decision comes amid a broader trend where numerous companies are re-evaluating or completely dismantling their DEI initiatives as the political landscape shifts under the influence of President Donald Trump, who has made DEI a focal point of his administration. On February 26, 2025, Paramount informed its employees that it would no longer implement diversity targets related to race or gender in hiring. This move aligns with a series of similar decisions made by other corporations, including Bank of America, BlackRock, and Citigroup, which have also redefined or eliminated their diversity goals. According to reports, Paramount has begun removing DEI references from its corporate communications and website, reflecting a growing reluctance among companies to engage in programs that are increasingly seen as politically charged. The recent flurry of DEI rollbacks can be traced back to the legal and political pressures exerted by the Trump administration. Following a series of executive orders aimed at dismantling federal DEI programs, corporations are feeling the heat to comply or risk facing scrutiny and backlash. For instance, PepsiCo has decided to shift its focus from diversity hiring goals to general employee development, while Coca-Cola has expressed concerns that a withdrawal from DEI could adversely affect its business's cultural and operational framework. Prominent voices in the business community are divided on the issue. While some executives like JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon have publicly reaffirmed their commitment to outreach efforts for underrepresented communities, others have joined the ranks of those scaling back DEI commitments. The contrasting responses highlight a growing ideological divide, as some companies remain steadfast in their belief that diversity initiatives are essential for fostering innovation and reflecting consumer demographics. Critics of DEI programs, including conservative activists and think tanks, argue that such initiatives can lead to reverse discrimination and negatively impact corporate performance. Robbie Starbuck, an anti-DEI activist, has claimed credit for influencing several companies to abandon their diversity commitments, further fueling the ongoing national debate. In stark contrast, advocates for DEI, including organizations like the Human Rights Campaign, warn that dismantling these initiatives could hinder progress toward workplace equity and inclusivity. As the political landscape continues to evolve, the future of DEI programs in corporate America remains uncertain. The ongoing rollback of diversity initiatives raises critical questions about the long-term implications for workplace culture and the broader societal commitment to inclusivity. While some companies are choosing to redefine their approach to diversity, others stand firm in their belief that a diverse workforce is not only beneficial but essential for business success. As this debate unfolds, stakeholders will be keenly watching how these decisions impact corporate America's landscape and the potential return to a more inclusive standard in the years to come. Amidst a complex economic landscape, the U.S. economy stands on precarious ground supported by the spending habits of a select few. According to Peter Boockvar, Chief Investment Officer at Bleakley Financial Group, the current economic expansion is propped up by three key pillars: spending by the affluent, government expenditure, and investments related to artificial intelligence. However, recent policy shifts, particularly those proposed by the Trump administration, threaten the stability of at least two of these vital supports. Historically, consumer spending has been the backbone of the U.S. economy, but recent data reveals a stark reality: the wealthiest 10% of Americans now account for nearly half of all consumer spending. This shift, noted by Moody's chief economist Mark Zandi, underscores an unprecedented dependency on high-income earners whose financial health has never been stronger. The finances of the well-to-do have never been better, their spending never stronger, and the economy never more dependent on that group, Zandi stated in an analysis shared with the Wall Street Journal. Boockvar elaborates on this dynamic, identifying the affluent as one of three fundamental pillars supporting the economy, alongside government spending and AI-related investments. He points out that the upper income bracket has increasingly driven economic growth, particularly in a time when inflation has prompted other income groups to tighten their belts. The top 10% of earners, defined as those making $250,000 or more, now contribute roughly one-third of the nation's GDP. This concentration of economic power was reflected in Moody's analysis, which emphasized that the top earners' spending habits are crucial for lifting the economy, especially during challenging periods. Two primary factors contribute to the affluent's dominance in consumer spending. First, they possess greater savings, with current yields around 4.5%, providing them with a steady income stream. Second, they continue to benefit from a buoyant stock market and rising home values. Boockvar points to the wealth effect, where increases in stock prices and real estate values encourage higher spending among consumers. However, this relationship also renders the economy vulnerable to market volatility. If the S&P 500 were at 4,000 instead of 6,000, consumer spending would not be as robust as it is now, he warns, highlighting the precariousness of relying on such a narrow segment of the population for economic stability. Moreover, recent declines in consumer sentiment signal potential trouble ahead. Even among wealthier households, confidence seems to be waning, raising questions about the sustainability of their spending. Boockvar expresses concerns regarding the stock market, particularly as the tech sector, dubbed the Magnificent Seven, has begun to lose its grip as a primary driver of market gains. "To me, there's a major rotation going on," he says, indicating that the traditional sources of economic strength may be shifting. Government spending, the third pillar, is also under threat. Proposed budget cuts by House Republicans could jeopardize critical investments in healthcare and infrastructure, raising doubts about future government expenditures' role in economic support. Boockvar notes the potential ripple effects of reduced government spending, which could lead to diminished corporate profits and overall economic contraction. He acknowledges the long-term benefits of addressing the federal deficit, but warns of the short-term ramifications that such austerity measures could entail. As the U.S. economy navigates these turbulent waters, it faces a critical juncture. The increasing reliance on the wealthiest consumers, coupled with governmental policy shifts that threaten to undermine two of the three economic pillars, poses significant risks. Moving forward, it will be essential for policymakers and economic leaders to monitor these developments closely, exploring ways to diversify and strengthen the economic foundation to ensure sustainable growth. The interplay between wealth, government action, and emerging technologies will likely dictate the trajectory of the economy in the months and years ahead, making it a pivotal moment for American economic policy and strategy. In a world where iconic franchises are often transformed to fit modern tastes, Amazon's recent proposal to adapt the James Bond series has sparked significant debate among fans and industry analysts alike. The tech giant is reportedly considering a radical reimagining of the beloved character, aiming to appeal to a broader audience by injecting contemporary themes and humor into the franchise. This move, while ambitious, has raised concerns about the potential dilution of the character's legacy. Sources familiar with Amazon's plans indicate that the company envisions a more accessible, family-friendly version of Bond, contrasting sharply with the franchise's traditional allure of espionage, sophistication, and grit. The goal is to make Bond relatable to today's audiences, which may include a more comedic take on the character, stated an industry insider who wished to remain anonymous. This approach has already drawn comparisons to other reboots that have successfully modernized classic narratives while maintaining their essence. However, this pivot has not been universally welcomed. Critics argue that turning James Bond into a lighter, more comedic figure could undermine the core themes that have captivated audiences for decades. Bond is synonymous with intrigue and danger. Altering that formula risks alienating longtime fans, warned film critic Mark Thompson. He emphasized the importance of balancing innovation with the franchise's storied history. The potential impact of Amazon's strategy extends beyond the cinematic universe. By leveraging its streaming platform Prime Video, the company aims to attract subscribers through exclusive content that resonates with contemporary cultural trends. This strategy follows a broader industry trend where streaming services increasingly invest in familiar intellectual properties to secure viewership and subscriber growth. As Amazon navigates this delicate balance, the stakes are high. A misstep could not only damage the Bond brand but also set a precedent for how legacy characters are managed in an era of rapid content consumption. Moreover, the timing of this initiative coincides with a notable shift in audience preferences, particularly among younger demographics who may favor humor and relatability over traditional action hero tropes. This demographic shift presents an opportunity for Amazon to redefine the Bond character for a new generation, but it also risks alienation of the franchise's established fanbase who may resist such drastic changes. As the discussion surrounding Amazon's plans continues, the future of James Bond remains uncertain. With the potential for both creative innovation and backlash, observers will be keenly watching how Amazon balances these competing interests. Ultimately, the success of this endeavor may hinge on the company's ability to honor the franchise's legacy while successfully reinventing it for a modern audience. As the entertainment industry evolves, the fate of iconic characters like James Bond will likely serve as a bellwether for broader trends in media consumption and adaptation. As avian influenza continues to wreak havoc on the poultry industry, its repercussions are rippling through various sectors, ultimately impacting egg supplies and raising alarming public health concerns. The highly pathogenic H5N1 strain has not only infiltrated farms but has also begun to affect urban wildlife, including black rats and domestic cats, prompting both scientific inquiry and industry response. Recent reports from the U.S. Department of Agriculture (USDA) highlight an unsettling trend. For black rats in Riverside County, California, tested positive for H5N1. This marks a significant development in the spread of bird flu, as these rodents were linked to 2 infected poultry farms. Since May 2022, the USDA has documented a staggering 514 instances of H5N1 in mammals, raising concerns over potential new transmission routes for both humans and pets. Rodent transmission could complicate the containment of bird flu on farms, making it critical for farmers to enhance biosecurity measures, noted experts associated with the American Veterinary Medical Association. In a separate but equally worrisome development, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) released a delayed report detailing infections in household cats. The report, which was initially withdrawn, confirmed 2 cases of H5N1 in indoor cats residing with Michigan dairy workers. Both cats displayed severe symptoms, with one being euthanized and the other dying within 24 hours of showing signs of illness. Although neither cat had direct contact with infected farms, the potential for human exposure underscores the urgency of understanding how this virus spreads in domestic environments. The sources of infection remain unknown, highlighting the need for further investigation into how pets might be exposed to H5N1, the report indicated. Amid these alarming developments, the poultry industry is grappling with significant egg shortages directly attributable to ongoing outbreaks. According to the USDA, 36 confirmed outbreaks across 9 states have led to the loss of approximately 26.8 million egg-laying birds. This drastic reduction in supply has contributed to soaring egg prices, which hit a record average of $4.95 per dozen in January 2025. With prices in some regions exceeding $9. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins acknowledged the potential for further price increases but assured farmers that the government is developing strategies to mitigate the crisis. "We are committed to exploring H5N1 vaccines for poultry and enhancing biosecurity evaluations," she stated during a recent visit to Texas farms. In response to the ongoing egg shortages, international imports have begun to fill the gap, with Turkey set to deliver 15,000 metric tons of eggs to the U.S. over the next several months. This move, costing approximately $26 million, is part of a broader strategy to stabilize egg prices and supply amid a tumultuous period for the poultry industry. As avian influenza continues to evolve, its effects on ecosystems, industries, and public health are becoming increasingly intertwined. The emergence of H5N1 in unexpected hosts like rats and cats illustrates the complexity of zoonotic diseases and the potential for new transmission dynamics. With experts urging enhanced biosecurity measures and ongoing monitoring, the hope remains that a comprehensive response can be formulated to stem the tide of avian influenza. As the situation develops, it will be crucial to observe how these measures impact both animal health and the availability of a staple food source for millions. As the world grapples with the remnants of the COVID-19 pandemic, public fatigue and shifting political landscapes threaten to undermine the global response to future infectious diseases. 5 years post-pandemic, experts are urging a re-evaluation of strategies to ensure preparedness for any similar outbreaks. This sentiment echoes through recent discussions in the scientific community, where lessons learned from the pandemic are being emphasized as essential for future resilience. In a compelling editorial published on February 18, 2025, it was highlighted that the urgency to implement effective public health strategies remains paramount. The ongoing challenges marked by political indecision and public weariness risk compromising the frameworks established during the pandemic. The editorial warns that without a concerted effort to learn from past mistakes, the consequences of future outbreaks could be dire. In parallel to these public health discussions, significant advancements in cancer treatment are being reported, particularly for high-risk B-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia (BL). A study published in the Blood Cancer Journal on February 27, 2025, reveals promising results from targeting osteoclasts, cells responsible for bone resorption, as a therapeutic approach for children suffering from this prevalent form of leukemia. BL represents the most common childhood cancer, and while survival rates have dramatically improved, certain subgroups continue to exhibit poor prognosis, particularly those with high-risk genetic markers. Researchers including Rishi S. Kotecha and his team have discovered that osteoclasts play a crucial role in the disease's progression and the accompanying bone loss experienced by patients. Their study utilized a murine model to explore the efficacy of combining traditional chemotherapy with zoledronic acid (ZA), a medication typically used to treat osteoporosis. The results were striking. In models with high leukemia burdens, the inclusion of ZA not only improved survival rates but also reversed significant leukemia-induced bone deterioration. Targeting osteoclasts represents a novel therapeutic avenue, particularly for patients where conventional therapies have limitations, said Kotecha. Our findings suggest that not only does ZA enhance the effectiveness of existing treatments, but it also supports bone health, which is critically important in this pediatric population. The study's methodology involved administering ZA alongside standard treatments, such as imatinib and dasatinib, at various stages of leukemia progression. The outcomes indicated a marked improvement in event-free survival rates, showcasing ZA's potential as a dual-action agent, addressing both the disease and the skeletal complications often seen in BL patients. Moreover, the researchers investigated the underlying mechanisms by which osteoclasts and leukemia cells interact, revealing that factors secreted by osteoclasts significantly promote leukemia cell proliferation. This crosstalk emphasizes the complexity of the tumor microenvironment and its implications for treatment strategies. As these findings circulate within the medical community, they raise vital questions about the future of leukemia treatment. The potential for ZA to be safely integrated into early treatment plans could pave the way for improved outcomes in children battling high-risk BL. The study concludes with a call for further clinical trials to explore the full capabilities of this approach. As the landscape of cancer therapy evolves, the insights gained from both the ongoing pandemic and advancements in oncology highlight the importance of adaptability in public health and medical research. The lessons of the past are not merely historical footnotes, they are the bedrock upon which future strategies must be built, ensuring that both public health systems and medical treatments are equipped to meet the challenges ahead. The coming years will be pivotal in shaping how we respond to global health crises and pediatric cancers. With a focus on innovative therapies that prioritize both efficacy and patient quality of life. In a move that has ignited a firestorm of debate, a Harvard University student journal has opted to censor an article that critiques the pro-Khalistan movement, a topic that has significant implications for India-Canada relations. The article, penned by Zaina Dhillon, an Indian student and associate editor for the Harvard International Review, was initially published online on February 15, 2025, but was swiftly removed following backlash from various groups, including those who support the Khalistan cause. Dhillon's article, titled "A Thorn in the Maple: How the Khalistan Question is Reshaping India-Canada Relations," examined the historical context of the Khalistan movement and its repercussions on diplomatic ties between Canada and India. The piece highlighted the violent insurgency that characterized the movement in the 1970s and 1980s, citing the tragic bombing of Air India Flight 182 in 1985, which claimed 329 lives. In her analysis, Dhillon underscored how the movement's resurgence has become a focal point of contention within the Canadian Sikh diaspora, a community that, while largely peaceful, includes a minority that supports Khalistan. However, the article's removal raises critical questions about academic freedom and the pressures exerted on student publications. According to Dhillon, the decision to retract her work was influenced by external pressures, including complaints from pro-Khalistan advocates and even Harvard Sikh chaplain Harpreet Singh. The editors of the Harvard International Review argued that the article's style was overly opinionated and diverged from the analytical reporting standard they uphold. They requested revisions, including the removal of specific statistics regarding deaths attributed to Sikh militants, which they claimed lacked independent verification. Dhillon, standing by her assertions, refused to make the suggested changes, asserting that her portrayal of the Khalistan movement was grounded in reality rather than mere opinion. "They seem to think that me presenting the Khalistan movement in a certain way is a matter of my opinion rather than what is like the actual situation on the ground," she stated, emphasizing the need for open dialogue on contentious subjects. The events surrounding this article are emblematic of a broader cultural and political climate where discussions surrounding identity, nationalism, and historical grievances are increasingly polarizing. The diplomatic rift between India and Canada escalated dramatically in 2023 when Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau alleged a potential link between Indian agents and the assassination of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a pro-Khalistan activist. This accusation prompted a series of retaliatory diplomatic actions from both nations, culminating in the expulsion of diplomats and a chilling effect on bilateral relations. The implications of such censorship extend beyond the realm of student journalism. They touch upon the fundamental principles of academic inquiry and the essential role of universities as bastions of free thought and expression. As Dhillon's article illustrated, the complexities of the Khalistan issue are not merely academic, they resonate deeply within the geopolitical landscape, affecting millions on both sides of the debate. As this situation unfolds, it serves as a poignant reminder of the challenges faced by students and scholars in navigating the treacherous waters of political sensitivity. The academic community must grapple with the delicate balance of fostering open discourse while also acknowledging the potential ramifications of such discussions on real-world diplomatic relations. Looking ahead, the growing tensions surrounding the Khalistan movement and its portrayal in academic settings will likely continue to provoke strong reactions. The need for constructive dialogue remains imperative, particularly as India and Canada seek to mend their strained ties. The future of academic freedom in addressing such contentious issues will depend on the courage of individuals like Zaina Dillon, who strive to bring nuanced perspectives to the forefront even in the face of adversity. In recent weeks, the tech landscape has witnessed an escalating feud between Elon Musk and OpenAI, the artificial intelligence company he co-founded with Sam Altman. This ongoing conflict highlights not only the personal dynamics between two prominent figures in the tech industry but also raises significant questions about the future direction of artificial intelligence development and governance in a rapidly evolving digital world. The roots of this feud trace back to 2015, when Musk and Altman established OpenAI as a non-profit research lab, with Musk pledging substantial financial support. Their shared vision was to ensure that the powerful AI technologies emerging from their efforts would prioritize public good over profit. However, as OpenAI grew and the need for investment became increasingly apparent, the two co-founders began to diverge in their visions for the organization. By 2017, Musk's concerns about funding led to proposals for OpenAI to transition into a for-profit entity, a move that Altman and other key figures within the organization resisted. As reported, this tension culminated in Musk's departure from OpenAI in 2018, with Altman taking the helm and eventually steering the organization toward a for-profit model that has attracted significant investment, notably from Microsoft. The conflict reignited dramatically following the launch of ChatGPT in late 2022, which marked a transformative moment for consumer technology and solidified OpenAI's position as a leader in the AI space. Musk, feeling sidelined, began publicly critiquing OpenAI's shift away from its founding principles. He even cut off OpenAI's access to valuable data from X, the platform he acquired, signaling a more aggressive stance in their rivalry. In recent months, Musk has gone so far as to file lawsuits against OpenAI, claiming that Altman has strayed from their original mission. The stakes have intensified with political developments as well. Following the re-election of Donald Trump, Altman's relationship with the administration has blossomed, raising Musk's ire and prompting him to propose a hostile bid of $97.4 billion to acquire OpenAI, a move Altman swiftly rejected. Musk's actions appear to be fueled by a desire to regain control over a company that he feels has deviated from its foundational goals. Analysts suggest that Musk's calls for OpenAI to return to its non-profit roots may be less about altruism and more about a strategic quest for influence and control. His criticisms of OpenAI's direction seem to pivot around competitive motivations rather than genuine concerns for the ethical implications of AI technology. As Musk himself has stated, it is time for OpenAI to return to the open source, safety-focused force for good it once was, revealing a complex interplay of personal ambition and ideological conviction. While Musk has launched his own AI venture xAI, it has yet to pose a significant challenge to OpenAI's dominance. This ongoing rivalry not only showcases the volatile dynamics of Silicon Valley but also underscores the broader implications for AI governance and ethical standards. Experts worry that as the competition heats up, the focus on responsible development may diminish, leading to a landscape where rapid innovation occurs at the expense of safety and societal welfare. As this drama unfolds, the tech community watches closely. With Musk's history of bold moves and Altman's proven leadership in AI, the resolution of this feud could have lasting effects on both the future of AI technologies and the ethical frameworks that govern them. The next chapters in this saga will undoubtedly be pivotal. not just for the companies involved but for the direction of artificial intelligence as a whole. In an increasingly complex global landscape, the shifting dynamics of international relations present both challenges and opportunities for nations striving to maintain their influence. Recent events surrounding the European Union (EU) and the United States foreign policy have left many observers questioning the viability of long-standing alliances and the future of geopolitical power structures. As the Trump administration recalibrates its approach to the ongoing Ukraine crisis, the EU finds itself at a crossroads, grappling with the implications of American withdrawal from its role as a global leader. The Biden administration's recent policy shift has left the EU facing an uphill battle at the United Nations, particularly in its efforts to maintain support for Ukraine. Dr. Daniel Drezner, a distinguished professor at Tufts University, notes as the U.S. redefines its commitments, Europe must consider how to mobilize support from the global South to counterbalance its diminished influence. The question now looms: can Europe effectively rally these emerging economies to its side in the face of a more isolationist U.S. stance? This recalibration presents a dual challenge. Not only must Europe respond to the immediate geopolitical threats posed by Russia, but it must also cultivate relationships with nations in the global South, regions that have historically been less aligned with Western interests. The potential for collaboration exists particularly in areas of shared economic and security concerns. However, the recent decision by the U.S. to freeze funding for USAID has further complicated matters, effectively abdicating its responsibility to support global development initiatives. This action creates a vacuum that other nations, including China and Russia, are poised to exploit. On the other hand, the EU's quest for solidarity may find unexpected allies. The Harvard Fairbanks Center's upcoming panel discussion, titled 3 Years and Prospects for Peace? China-Russia-North Korea relations on the third anniversary of Putin's Ukraine war, aims to explore this intricate web of relationships. The discussion will dissect the evolving partnerships between these nations and their implications for the West. Andrew S. Erickson, a professor at the U.S. Naval War College, highlights that the deepening ties between China and Russia, coupled with North Korea's strategic maneuvering, pose significant challenges for traditional Western alliances. As the panelists examine the potential for military and economic cooperation among these nations, the implications for global power dynamics will become increasingly clear. The EU's ability to establish a cohesive response strategy will be paramount in navigating these shifting allegiances. If the EU can successfully engage with the global South and forge collaborations based on shared interests, it could mitigate some of the fallout from America's retreat, Dr. Drezner adds. Looking ahead, the EU's path is fraught with uncertainty. The interplay between U.S. withdrawal and the rise of alternative powers will dictate the future of international relations. As Europe seeks to redefine its role on the world stage, the need for innovative strategies and strengthened partnerships will be crucial. The coming months may well be pivotal in determining whether the EU can rise to the occasion and assert its influence amid a rapidly changing geopolitical landscape. In conclusion, while the current state of affairs may appear daunting, it also presents a unique opportunity for the EU to reshape its foreign policy and engage with new global partners. By effectively navigating the complexities of this evolving narrative, Europe has the potential to emerge as a key player in the future of international relations, ultimately reinforcing its standing on the global stage. In a groundbreaking discovery, researchers at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill have found that bubbles can be coaxed into a surprising form of movement described as galloping across the surface of a liquid-filled container. This phenomenon, observed while studying wave behavior through vibrations, could pave the way for innovative cleaning techniques reminiscent of tiny robotic vacuum cleaners. The team, led by physicist Pedro J. Isines, was investigating the effects of specific vibration frequencies on a liquid when they stumbled upon this unexpected bubble behavior. By shaking the container up and down, the researchers found that bubbles could not only float on the surface but also move across it in a manner that resembles galloping. This captivating movement opens new avenues for practical applications, particularly in the realm of cleaning. Signs noted the ability of these bubbles to gallop could be harnessed to create a novel cleaning mechanism, enabling us to explore more efficient ways to remove contaminants from surfaces. This advancement could have significant implications for various industries, including food safety, pharmaceuticals, and even household cleaning products. As the researchers continue to investigate the mechanics behind this phenomenon, they are enthusiastic about the potential applications. The galloping bubbles could be engineered into devices that utilize vibrations to enhance cleaning processes, reducing the need for harsh chemicals and improving efficiency. Meanwhile, in a different yet equally compelling area of research, scientists studying the West Antarctic ice sheet waste have made new observations that bring a mix of optimism and caution. Recent findings suggest that, contrary to earlier fears, the waste may not be as vulnerable to collapse as previously thought. The University of Cambridge's research indicates that the Ron ice shelf part of the waste has remained intact even during warmer periods in Earth's history. Drilling samples approximately 650 kilometers from the ice shelf's edge, the research team measured the salinity levels in the ice core. The results showed no significant increase in sea salt concentrations, a sign that the ice sheet has remained stable during critical warming events. "It's good news and it's bad news," remarked researcher Eric Wolf. He clarified that while the current stability of the waste is encouraging, it does not guarantee that future warming will not lead to its collapse. The implications of these findings are profound. The potential for rising sea levels due to ice sheet collapse poses a significant threat to coastal communities worldwide. As noted by the Canadian National Collaborating Centre for Environmental Health, rising sea levels can lead to increased flooding, displacement, and economic hardships for millions. While the current findings provide a glimmer of hope, they underscore the necessity for proactive measures to combat climate change. As researchers continue to explore both the fascinating world of bubble dynamics and the complexities of ice sheet stability, it is clear that scientific inquiry is unveiling unexpected connections between seemingly disparate phenomena. The advancements in bubble technology may soon complement our understanding of climate science, leading to innovative solutions that address environmental challenges while enhancing industrial processes. Looking ahead, the intersection of these discoveries highlights the importance of interdisciplinary research in tackling global issues. As technology and environmental science converge, we may find ourselves equipped with novel tools and insights necessary to navigate the complexities of our changing planet.